Welcome to another Circling Seattle Sports game reaction. We have leg one of the first round matchup between the Seattle Sounders and FC Dallas in this MLS Cup playoff. Seattle back in the playoffs after snapping their streak of reaching the postseason since entering the MLS last year. Um, that streak was snapped last year. They didn't enter the MLS last year. I apologize. I was worded a little bit funny. But leg one, round one, so far so good. Seattle continues some positive momentum. They're now unbeaten in 10 straight games, knock on wood, dating back to the regular season, and have won back-to-back games dating back to Decision Day, beating St. Louis to help push themselves into second place in the Western Conference and earn that seed, earn that home field advantage. The Sounders take full advantage of it tonight. They looked good throughout the entirety of this game, outside of two bad giveaways in the first half. And we'll talk about, well, no, we'll talk about that now. Seattle from the jump had a few good chances in the first 20 minutes. Josh Atencio, although mainly a defensive midfielder for this Sounders club, had a chance in the 6th minute and the 20th minute that just couldn't get to go. The Sounders, outside of those in the first 20 minutes, were able to get a few shots near and inside the box that were blocked. So they were putting the pressure on this visiting Dallas team, a visiting Dallas team that had only won 4 matches of their last 21 heading into this game. Before a penalty late in the first half drawn by Christian Roldan, which was a penalty, was put away by Albert Rusnak. Initially, was Martin Pace of FC Dallas did get his gloves on it. I was a little worried from my view in the press box that it was saved, but Rusnak shot had just enough power on it to get in. And then in the second half, late in the second half, in the 74th minute, Jordan Morris smashed a header home off a brilliant pass from Nuhu, who we'll talk about here in a second, to put this game at 2-0 and put Seattle ahead after leg one, and give them some positive momentum, keep their positive momentum rolling into the second leg, which will be in Frisco, Texas, as FC Dallas hosts that one. Hopefully we won't need a leg 3 back here in Seattle. So looking at Nuhu had an excellent game. I apologize that Nuhu in the Bruce Lee kit here doesn't match the Rave Green colors, but I digress. An 8.7 match rating. Nuhu had a really, and Brian Schmetzer said this in the post-game presser, one of his more complete games as a Sounder. If you look at, and that's impressive, obviously, considering that it's the playoffs. Man of the match on FootMob. The Sounders went with João Paulo as their man of the match, and it's understandable, sure. But Nuhu, I mean, the 90 minutes played, 8.7 match rating. He had an assist, as I mentioned, on the Jordan Morris goal. 83% passing, solid. 2 chances created, a big chance created. 2 successful crosses, which is nice. Won both of the tackles that he attempted, had a clearance, 2 interceptions, 12 recoveries on the night. Won half of his ground duels, which is fine. 75% of his aerial duels. 4 fouls committed, sure. But what he brings up the wing for you when he does go up. And Stefan Fry talked about it as well. They have confidence in him going forward and like seeing him go up the field. So that was nice to see that encouragement and have him impact the game. Help the clean sheet, obviously, and then impact a goal as well. Big game from Nuhu. The goal scorers, as I mentioned, Albert Rusnak and Jordan Morris. Nice to see Rusnak continue a nice string of form. The last few matches for Seattle in the regular season, he had been having strong impacts, and really playing him as that 10 has been an impactful change for the Sounders, that they've kind of played him out of position since he's been here with Seattle, which has been a trouble for him. So nice to see him get the pen there with Nico Ladero on the bench. Rusnak becomes the de facto penalty kick taker. He took those in Real Salt Lake, and he's had success with them. So there wasn't much discussion when it came to that. And Jordan Morris, nice to see him, get on the board here, continue to make an impact, smash that header home, had plenty of space around him when he got that cross from Nuhu, and was able to make that one count, double the lead, and really ensure that, Dallas couldn't equalize this one and send us, because in the new MLS Cup playoff format, at the end of the 90 minutes, if we're tied, we go straight to penalties. So that I don't want to deal with penalties anymore, but Seattle, I I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. Looking over here at the expected goals, I mean, this tells a story, I would say. Seattle, clearly the better team in this one. Outside of those two poor possessions, oh, I didn't even talk about those. In the first half, um, in the 22nd minute, and then a little bit shortly after, there were two different instances where Dallas pressure in the Seattle end forced an errant pass, or a pass that didn't have enough on it. And then Dallas was able to jump on it, but not able to convert. In the first instance, Jackson Reagan was trying to build out of the back. He was trying to find Josh Atencio coming back for a pass. That pass didn't have nearly enough on it. Deputy Dallas player came right in, swooped it up, found Jesus Ferreira, who had Stephen Fry in a sort of one-on-one situation. Fry was able to make the left leg save in a huge, huge instance. Again, it is a travesty that Stephen Fry was not a finalist for goalkeeper of the year here in the MLS. I'm not saying he needed to win it. He should have at least been a finalist, though. Um, but then a little bit later, sort of the same situation. Seattle was trying to get it out of there, and João Paulo was rushed on a pass, tried to get one back. Uh, Mm, mm, mm. Trying to get one back. I forgot who he was trying to get it back to. Try to get a pass back, but that didn't have enough on it. And Dallas jumped on it again. Jesus Ferreira again had an opportunity in, but Nuhu coming back to play, coming back to help defend, brought some pressure on it. Probably rushed the shot from Ferreira a little bit, and it went high and above the net, out for a goal kick. So two big opportunities for Dallas, and they just were not able to do it. One by a great save by Stephen Fry, the other with some help from Nuhu, and obviously both of them a little bit of luck for Seattle as well. Looking at the statistics here, I mean, again, a lot of it, the shots on target makes sense, the possession makes sense, the passing makes sense, the fouls, not great. But again, this was a match that Seattle, defensively looked strong outside of those two poor giveaways. Attacking wise, we're generating well. In the luxury of this game, you brought two DPs on in the second half as substitutes. And Nico Ladero coming on in the 66th minute, Raul Rui Diaz coming on in the 83rd minute. And Brian Schmetzer talked about it. No, I'm sorry. Stefan Fry talked about it post game in the locker room, saying that, as a player, when the substitutes come on in the second half, you're thinking, all right, the starting 11's coming off. You're getting typically a player of a lesser caliber. It's not the case when you bring on Nico Ladero, who gets a secondary assist on the Jordan Morris goal, and Raul Rui Diaz getting his legs under him. It'll be interesting to see what sort of lineup changes head coach Brian Schmetzer and the staff make going into leg two. They were really encouraged by what they saw by bringing on Ladero and Rui Diaz in that second half. So I'm unsure if we see any changes here, but it's interesting. Obviously, FC Dallas has their backs against the wall. They need to win this one to force a leg three. Seattle's got the good momentum going. So I don't know. That group that Seattle had on to start this match has been producing as of late. So do you change that, or do you switch out a Ladero and a Rusnak there, put Rui Diaz up top? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Would you keep this same lineup from this match, or maybe change things up? Considering how that second half went. I personally would keep things how they've been going. I think they've been good. Maybe you get Nico in a little bit earlier as a substitute. Just considering I don't know how fully fit Raul is. I mean, he's been in training, but I don't know if he's full go or he's still easing into things to an extent. So we'll see. But I would stick with the starting 11 from tonight's effort. So looking ahead, that aforementioned leg two is Saturday, November 4th at FC Dallas. That is a 6 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. Obviously, with MLS, all this is on Apple TV. With a win in this one, Seattle would advance to the next round. I think we can find MLS Cup playoffs bracket. I think we can find that here. Do-do-do-do. Okay. Excuse me. So if the Sounders are able to take care of business here in leg two against Dallas, they would face either LAFC or Vancouver. LAFC one leg won 5-2. Vancouver, they've been a strong story this season, but I think they've kind of faltered a little bit towards the end of the year. I think they're at one point they were in fourth place in the West when they jumped down to sixth. So in LAFC, they were up there with Seattle the entire season, kind of swapping spots in the standings in the top of the West. So either way, it's going to be a tough one. Either way, you've got a Cascadia rival or the LAFC rivalry. But obviously, you have to take care of business against FC Dallas. Frisco's not the easiest place to play. So, got to keep going forward. Can't kind of put any sort of thought ahead to the next game. Take care of business. Next match, leg 2 on the 4th.